Jalen Polk is a receiver who's going undrafted in many redraft leagues, and I think that is a mistake. His ADP currently is at 167.7 on Sleeper, but he's looked really good in the preseason. With Drake May, he looks like he has good chemistry, and he has a very good chance to be the wide receiver one in New England. I know a lot of people don't think that's going to be a high powered offense, but still, a wide receiver one is a wide receiver one. If you have a top dog in any offense, that's definitely worth a draft pick in fantasy. He might not be Puka this season, but I think he'll be very good as a rookie. And then we have another Patriots rookie, Drake May. He currently has an ADP of 226.5, but he looked very good in the preseason as well, especially last night. If he does get that starting role, which his coach has said he's looked better than Jacoby Brissett, if he gets that role early in the season, he'll definitely be a guy you can start in Superflex leagues, and he will be rosterable in one QB leagues as well because he does have that elite rushing upside potential. And I think he could be a very solid QB as a rookie.
How's it going? So the players that I have that are going undrafted or at the very last day should keep an eye out. First, we have K. Vidal, running back, San Diego Chargers. This guy is getting all sorts of praise in camp, and all that's in front of him is Gus Edwards and Dobbins. So definitely keep an eye on him. Next, we have Braden Cooks, wide receiver, Dallas Cowboys. He came on strong at the end of last year, and he had all camp by himself being the number one. So look for him to be a solid flex option. And finally, Michael Wilson, wide receiver, Arizona Cardinals. People are sleeping on the Cardinals. They have a lot of talent being put together. And whenever he is healthy last year, he showed that he is definitely a viable wide receiver. Again, someone keep an eye on and could be a very good flex play.
There's two players I'm looking at that have been going undrafted in most of my leagues. They are Rashad Bateman and Ricky Pearsall. Except from deeper keeper leagues or deeper benches, these guys aren't getting drafted, and I'm not sure why. Rashad Bateman, he is finally healthy, or at least so we're being told. And with Odell Beckham Jr. gone, I think he's going to have a lot more opportunities to get some targets his way. And with Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers on the team, that's going to take a lot of the pressure off of him to be the guy making plays. Speaking of Mark Andrews, him and John Harbaugh have both been praising Bateman's work ethic and improvement this offseason, so all systems are go for him. Ricky Pearsall, he's sneaky, especially with Ayuk's deal not done yet. Does Ayuk stay? Does Ayuk go? If Ayuk goes, Ricky Pearsall is a no-brainer to have on your team. And hey, if it's a keeper league, he will be good for the future. That's who I'm looking at.
There are some promising players currently going undrafted in fantasy football leagues, and one of those guys is rookie quarterback Bo Nix of the Denver Broncos. Nix got drafted into a great situation for himself as he gets to work with Sean Payton in an offense that emphasizes the short and intermediate passing game. Nix was one of the most effective quarterbacks in short yardage situations last year, and he should fit right into the Broncos offense. I like his upside as a rookie, and he's worth a late round selection based on his potential. Another rookie worth taking a look at is wide receiver Xavier Leggett of the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers were a mess last season as Bryce Young struggled in his first year, but Leggett gives Young a legitimate weapon to throw the ball to, and he should see plenty of targets in a weak Panthers receiving room. The Carolina native is 6'1", 220 pounds, and ran a 4.39 40-yard dash at the combine. His athleticism and size should turn him into an immediate red zone threat for the Panthers, so he's definitely worth a roster spot.
On this week's episode of The Great Debate, Lucas and I are debating whether we would take Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen as the QB1 in fantasy football this season, and I will take Jalen Hurts. The Eagles' offense has improved this offseason with the addition of Saquon Barkley and Jahan Dotson, and they added a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, who once frustrated Mike McCarthy for having too proficient of an offense, and Mike McCarthy famously said he doesn't need to have the best offense in the league, he just wants to have the best team. This is a good problem for Jalen Hurts in fantasy because that means he should have a lot of chances to score points this season. And with an improved offense, they should have more opportunities in the red zone, and that means a lot of opportunities for touchdowns.
Jacob is my twin brother, and he may have been born first, but he's wrong about the first pick this year. And if you have the number one overall pick, please don't overthink it. Just draft Josh Allen. While it's true that the Bills lost Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis this offseason, that shouldn't scare you from selecting Josh number one overall. And that's because they still have one of the best tight ends in the league in Dalton Kincaid, and they added Keon Coleman and Curtis Samuel to their receiving room in the offseason. Those guys will be good enough weapons for Allen, and once you consider his rushing ability, I still like him to be QB1 this season.
Excuse me, sir. Would you like another hot take?
Yeah, definitely. Keep them coming.
The first hot take is I think the NFL is making a mistake playing a premier game in Brazil. That's a country and culture that really isn't into America football. I get it, the game's trying to become international, but they need to pick better destinations, especially for such a premier game. Next, casinos in Texas cannot come fast enough. All right. We have all sorts of illegal gambling, the card rooms, different things, and there's no real consistency. But ultimately, I would just love if I could go 5, 10 minutes to a casino. And finally, Fremont Street is much better than the strip in Vegas now. The strip has just become so hard to get around. Everything's just crazy expensive. Table minimums, blackjack not being 3-2 anymore. Fremont Street is definitely where you want to be when you go to Vegas.
Thanks, Josh. With the U.S. Open starting this week, that's where my hot takes are coming from. Men's tennis, who am I taking? If you said Novak Djokovic, you know me too well. He's my favorite player. He's one of the best in the world right now. He is the greatest of all time. That's a fact. And I'm going to pick him every time a major tournament comes up. Now, I know you just heard me call him the GOAT, and you're going to say, oh, well, Federer this, Nadal that, Serena Williams this. Well, speaking of Serena Williams, the women's draw, I don't think she's going to win it because she's not playing. But I do think a U.S. national is going to win the women's draw. Somebody's got to upset number one, Iga Swiatek, because we need a U.S. win on U.S. soil. Call it my post-Olympic hangover going for the U.S. nationals. But hey, number 3, Coco Gauff. Number 6, Jessica Pegula. Number 11, Danielle Collins. Number 13, Emma Navarro. Or number 14, Madison Keys is going to take it. Jacob, what you got?
Thanks, Jordan. My hot take for the week is that Sean Payton is a top 10 coach all time. He has a career winning percentage of 620, and that's despite a tough start with Denver in the last 3 seasons. He's won a Super Bowl, and I mean, even this week he had Zach Wilson looking like John Elway. In the preseason, they've looked pretty good as a team, and I think a lot of people are counting out the Broncos, but I would not count them out yet. I know they have stiff competition in the AFC West and a lot of other Hall of Fame coaches like Jim Harbaugh and Andy Reid that he's competing against, but I think over the next few years, this team can definitely make some strides and make some noise.
Hi everyone, it's Stacey. My hot take this week is while the NFL has left Tuesdays and Wednesdays alone, I hope that they continue to leave Fridays out except on rare occasions. I don't mind that the Brazil game this season is going to be at the beginning of the Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles season. However, I wouldn't want it to continue further than that. I don't mind Black Friday or around the holidays. Those are fine. I just would rather not see everyone having to be glued to their TV Thursday, Friday, Saturday if you're a college football fan, and then Sunday and Monday. It just seems like a little bit too much. While I love football, I do need to have a little bit of a resemblance of a life outside of it. Let me know what you think in the comments.
The modern NFL features the fullback position less than ever before. Gone are the days where fan favorites like Mike Allstott and Larry Centers lined up on nearly every play and plowed a hole for their running back. Back then, it was a foregone conclusion that offenses had to run the ball to win, and defenses countered by utilizing massive nose tackles like Ted Washington and muscle-bound middle linebackers like Ray Lewis. But then offenses began to spread the field more by utilizing 4 and 5 wide receiver sets more often, and for a long time the defenses hadn't caught up. But that all changed with the increasing adoption of the 2 high safety look popularized by Vic Fangio. Now, because of the 2 high safety defense, offenses have countered by throwing the ball shorter and quicker while utilizing more sets with 2 tight ends. I think that trend deepens this year and teams will rediscover the I formation and employ fullbacks at their highest rate in years. While it won't quite be like the old days, power running and short passing may just be the future of the NFL.
This is a poker hand I played at Shuffle 512 in Austin, Texas. In this hand, the straddle was on, so we were playing 1-2-5. Action limped to me on the button with all the players limping except for one. I just decided to overlimp here since I don't think I'm going to get them to fold. And there was a player in the big blind who was playing every hand, and she was very wild, deep, and willing to get it in with almost nothing on every hand. The flop came gin for us. It came deuce of spades, three of clubs, five of clubs. The big blind bets for 15. Three players call, and I decided to check raise huge here, or to raise huge here to 120, and only the big blind makes the call. The turn comes the eight of clubs, so we make a flush now. We kind of get downgraded a little bit if she has a higher flush draw. But it checks to me, and I can't be scared to bet here, so I bet for 150, and when she makes the call, I think I have the best hand. The river comes the seven of clubs, giving us the disguised straight flush, and she just goes all in here for 305. I snap call and win versus king of spades and deuce of clubs, and she claims to have misread her hand. This was a poker hand I played at shuffle 5-1-2. Two players limped, and I make it 20 on the button with king, queen of hearts. The big blind and both limpers make the call, and we go to a flop that comes pretty good for us. Queen 7-4 rainbow. It checks to me, and I think I can just bet small here since this is a very dry and disconnected board. I make it 25. The big blind calls and the cutoff calls. The turn comes the nine of spades. Now the big blind leads for 50, and I make the call, and it's only us two going to a river, which comes another queen, so we make trips. Here he goes all in for only $40. That's all I had left. I have nothing to do but call, and unfortunately this time we lose versus slow played set of sevens.
Okay, these are from our games that we played when we were in Vegas this past week. First, 1-2 at Mandalay Bay, we look down at 5-3 offsuit from the big blind and we check. So we go 6 ways to the flop. The flop is great. It is the 10 of hearts, the 4 of clubs, and the 2 of spades. So we have an open-end straight draw, and we bet $13 to start building a pot in case we hit, and we get 2 callers. The turn, perfect card, the ace of hearts. We bet $41 now, and only the middle position called, and this player had been very loose and very just splashy with their money. The river is the 3 of diamonds. Didn't love it because it counterfeits my straight a little. I bet $6, $7, and now we get min raise to 134. We go all in for our last 138 because this player and they're tight. And they debate calm, but they do call, and they have ace four offsuit, and we win with our straight. All right, next hand. This is from our meetup game at Mandalay Bay. We're still playing 1-2, and we raise to $11 when we look down at 6-5 offsuit from the cutoff, and we get 4 callers. So let's go to the flop. We flop the 6 of hearts, the 5 of clubs, and the 4 of hearts. Now checks middle position, who bets for $45, and one player calls. So we're kind of short stack, and we jam for $138 with top two, and folds out. Middle position actually calls, and the low jack who had called his bet folds out. So let's run out the cards. Turn is a 10 of spades, and the river is the jack of spades. Middle position shows 8-7 of hearts. So they flopped everything. Flopped straight, had straight flush draw, everything. And they scooped that pot because we do not improve and make our boat. So top table and tell them very nice hand.
Soccer hooligans.
Back with the added minutes because the Bundesliga is back in action, and we're going to start it off with last year's winners, Bayer Leverkusen. They were taking on Borussia Mönchengladbach. Do not ask me to spell it. I only know how to say it. If I were to try to spell it, it would just look like a bunch of random letters thrown together because I haven't a clue. But I got good ears, just not good spelling. So you get Borussia Mönchengladbach. Anyways, Bayer Leverkusen were back to their old antics. And I'll tell you what I mean by that in 1 second. Let's tell you how the game started. They went up 2-0 thanks to Granit Xhaka goal in the 12th minute and a Florian Wirtz goal in the 38th. They go into halftime cruising up 2-0. Things are looking good. And then Borussia Mönchengladbach, they come back. Elvedi in the 59th minute and Kleindienst in the 85th minute. And it was looking, maybe they weren't going to lose. They'll settle for the tie. Just like last year, they didn't lose. But I said they were up to their old antics, and that was scoring late goals. I think they had 12, 13, 14, maybe 15 games last year where they scored in the last 10 minutes of the game. Well, Florian Wirtz did it again in the 90th plus 11 minutes of added time, which was the last minute of added time. Florian Wirtz gets the goal to start the title defense off on the right foot. Speaking of getting off on the right foot, Bayern Munich, new coach Vincent Kompany in town. How will he fare in his first game? Well, they played against Wolfsburg, and it started great. Musiala scored in the 19th minute. They were flowing. They take a 1-0 lead into halftime. That's where the tides would change, because Wolfsburg, they scored 2 goals through Lovrumeyer in the 47th minute, and they earned a penalty in the 55th minute, which was converted. Wolfsburg goes up 2-1. Not for too long. 10 minutes later, Jakub Kaminski, Wolfsburg player, scores a goal, except he scored it on his own team. So Bayern Munich's now tied 2-2, and it just set the stage for Serge Gnabry in the 82nd minute. He gets the winner. Bayern Munich starts on a good foot. It's going to be fun to watch Leverkusen, Bayern Munich, maybe even Borussia Dortmund, who won 2-0 this week, going at it for that top spot this year. We'll see what happens. Some quick transfer news for you guys. Cancelo went from Man City to the Saudi League, Al Hilal. Jadon Sancho seems to be on the outs at Man United. Juventus wanted him. It's looking like Chelsea's interested in him now. So we'll see if he gets hijacked by Chelsea. Liverpool, surprisingly, in for Juve forward Federico Chiesa. We'll see what happens with all that, and we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.
Parker Meadows is only owned in 10% of fantasy leagues, and since returning from the IL, he has really hit the ball well. In the 15 games he's played in since his return, he has hit .343 with 5 stolen bases and 12 runs scored. Meadows possesses elite sprint speed that ranks in the 93rd percentile in the major leagues according to Baseball Savant. His speed, combined with his above-average contact rate, should allow him to pile up more steals and runs while lifting your batting average. Meadows is peaking at the right time, and he should be added if you need help in your outfield. David Peterson is a starting pitcher that you should consider streaming this week when he faces the White Sox on Friday. Peterson has been great for the Mets in August, posting 4 quality starts, 3 wins, a .245 ERA, and 30 strikeouts across 36 and 2/3 innings. Peterson isn't an overpowering pitcher as he sits between 93 and 95 miles per hour with his fastball, but he changes speeds effectively and uses his plus changeup to induce ground balls and awkward swings. He controls the baseball well, and he doesn't surrender many free passes to hitters. This allows him to keep his pitch count low and go deep into games. I think he can grab a quality start and a victory against the lowly White Sox this week.
Okay, everyone. One, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you haven't yet, please hit that like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Want to thank everyone we saw in Vegas that did the fantasy football draft with us, played poker with us. It was a fantastic time. All right. We'll let you know when we have more stuff scheduled here in the future. Also, if you haven't yet, please check out our online merch shop and get you some stuff. And we look forward to talking to you guys next week when the NFL season is about to start.